I know I said old time's sake was going to be my last Knots video, but I had no clue how insanely lucky Awesomenauts would get in the future after that fact. And if there are people out there willing to not give up on it, who am I to? So, for those who haven't been in the loop, Ronimo recently shut down due to bankruptcy, and one of the games they couldn't properly preserve before this happened was ironically their most successful one, Awesomenauts. With the servers shut down, the matchmaking system went with it, also making the menu inaccessible, pretty much bricking every version of the game except for the pre-free-to-play versions that still ran peer-to-peer servers. The remainder of the player base downgraded their versions to the latest builds up to that point, and run with that now. Atari had bought the rights to Awesomenauts not long after Ronimo's shutdown, and in complete honesty, I thought it would lead to nothing. I thought Atari would maybe parade it around as a trophy on their list of game titles, and that'd be that. Maybe some corporate mumbo-jumbo about how great the game is on purchase, and it's only ever brought up again in passing to show off the brand. What we got instead was a confident answer that they did, in fact, have things in the works. Direct action to fix Awesomenauts' current state, and an announcement of how they intend to do so. The plan is simple. They downgrade the current official build to Awesomenauts to the version the player base currently uses, and incrementally build the game's code back up with each update, with the version where matchmaking runs on the Steam servers instead of any Ronimo we're supposed to own. Theoretically, Atari probably could just pay for the servers and things would go back to normal, but as is going to be the ongoing theme, we're aiming for a realistic outcome. Doing that would just be money out of Atari's pocket for nothing more than maybe a few sales on DLC. And when they eventually stop doing that, you're essentially just extending the life support at that point. The process they're doing here will be done until they've essentially replicated the game to a final patch, in which the game will once again be functional to what it was in its last moments of development. I am incredibly excited about this. The fact that any of this is happening is nothing short of a miracle for the game. I've seen games similar but not quite as good as Knots get taken out back and shot to never be played again. That Knots had a version that was functional at all since the shutdown was lucky. That a large company took interest in the game was miraculous. That they would proceed to actually do something with the game, and their main goal is strictly to restore and preserve the product as authentically as possible, is an actual wish come true. Too good to be true, part of me says. I don't even know how this could possibly be profitable. But despite this, I am optimistic, because they list out things that they are missing. They explain that there is a genuine possibility they won't be able to restore everything, and some things may not quite be the same. Everything about their approach is realistic, and sounds like the words coming from people already elbow deep in esoteric Dutch code. I'm not ready to look a gift horse in the mouth, and if things go horribly wrong, there's nothing stopping us from returning to the downgraded version. But this gets me to why I'm even making this video, and it is to ask, beg honestly, that at the time of this releasing, you beta test these builds. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity for this game. Awesomenauts is not getting any second chances past this. Any resurgence in old fans or new people coming in hearing from friends happens here. This is the last stream of updates this game will ever get and will ever need. If this would be done successfully, Galactron builds of Awesomenauts won't be future-proofed as I would like, as they'll still depend on the Steam servers, but considering how too big to fail Steam is for the PC gaming market, and how there will quickly be alternatives to emulate Steam servers if anything happens to them, any fixes on Steam's end will also apply to Awesomenauts, and gives it a lot more chances for the later builds to be archived in a more permanent fashion. Any mistake or slip up in the coding that wasn't in the original, but doesn't get caught in the beta testing, is going to be ingrained in this version forever. So it's important to have it be functional and accurate, because as mentioned earlier, this is the version that will most likely be immortalized for the game. Something as small as accidentally fixing an auto attack bug could completely butcher a huge chunk of a character's skill ceiling. No, that's not hyperbole, that could actually happen. We don't want to have any major oversights because nobody felt like it. Need I remind you all of release day Commander Rocket, who had insanely powerful yet safe burst, the best DPS in the game, could move around while rooted, all wrapped up in the smallest hitbox and collision box in the game's history? He had to be nerfed after release 3 times in a row. So it is important that in every stage up until completion, that we have a diligent player base. I'm not asking you to play constantly. I'm not asking you to play constantly just to test from time to time. Play when you feel like it, don't get burnt out. You're planting the seed of Awesomenauts tomorrow. If you're an old player, point out what's inconsistent, what's missing, and what's wrong. If you're new, welcome, hope they're not too hard on you, and keep an eye out for any bugs that you might experience that don't seem to be part of the original intention. Coding can be weird, and a change that should be as simple as this one is anything but. As you can tell, this one's pretty off the cuff because of the circumstances, but still felt important to me to cover, and I hope it is to you as well. I hope you all have a good day, and be safe.